Lovable is everywhere right now. Every day I open YouTube or X and see another headline about how AI is replacing software engineers, and Lovable is always part of that conversation. And honestly, it makes sense. Their main audience is non-tech founders, people who understand product, who have great ideas, but who don't know how to code. And for that audience, Lovable feels like magic. You describe what you want, and it spits out a full front end, and suddenly you have something that looks like a real product. But here's the thing nobody tells you at the beginning. Once you spend some time with Lovable, you start to notice the limits. You realize that the real logic of your business, the workflows, the rules, the things that actually make your product valuable, all of that lives in the backend, and Lovable doesn't touch that. So yes, it gives you pretty screens. Yes, it gives you a very real sense of what your app could look like. But if you're trying to build something more complex, something that needs control, scalability, or serious engineering, Lovable is not the tool for that. In this video, I want to set the right expectations about Lovable and share my honest opinions. I'm going to show you when you should use Lovable and when you absolutely should not. And I will also explain how we use it inside my agency. A lot of people say Lovable cannot build scalable products. And sure, it's not meant for that, but for us, it has become an essential tool in our day-to-day workflow. And before you ask, yes, there are more powerful AI dev tools out there, like Cursor or Claude Code, but you need to know how to code to get real value from them. Lovable is playing a different game, so let's break this down. If you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Fernando Dedios, and I'm the founder of Next Rocket, a software development studio where my team and I help business owners build digital products super fast using low-code tools. So if you got a project in mind and want to know what tech stack you should use, how much it might cost, and how long it would take, you can fill out this form and book a call with me. One of the things I use Lovable for the most is front-end design, UX and UI. My process is super simple. I look for apps or websites I like, take a couple of screenshots, and tell Lovable to use those as references. Most of the time, the result is actually pretty good. Personally, I don't stress too much about the UI because most apps looks exactly the same, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel. What really matters to me is the user experience, making sure the screens make sense, the flows feel natural, and users don't get confused when navigating the app. Another tool I use alongside Lovable is AI charts. I use it to map and document all the user flows. That context makes a huge difference because Lovable works way better when it understands the actual logic behind the product. For instance, at Next Rocket, we use Lovable during the product discovery phase. When a new client reaches out, they usually have an abstract idea of what they want. So we take all that info, throw it into Lovable, and we build the first version of the product really fast. And this has helped us a lot because clients immediately see something real, not just words, and that alone builds a lot of trust. Another big use case for us is building quick proof of concepts. These are simple features that are not meant for production, and the goal is just to validate ideas internally with the client. When we are in the early stages of a project, deep into the product discovery phase, trying to understand what the client actually wants, Lovable let us build a functional prototype in almost no time. And the difference is huge. Showing a client a static design in Figma is one thing, but letting them click through something that feels like a real app, that's completely different level. People start noticing what they like, what they don't like, what feels confusing, and we catch all of that early on. Figma can't do that because everything looks pretty, but it doesn't behave like a real product. Lovable also integrates natively with Supabase, so we can plug in a real database and simulate some backend logic. Not production level stuff, but more than enough to make a convincing demo. And since these POCs are internal only, you don't have to worry too much about security or performance. And this cuts down a ton of back and forth. Clients get the idea immediately, and we are all aligned way earlier in the process. And finally, another super practical use case for Lovable is building MVPs. If your goal is to launch fast, validate your idea, and put something in the hands of real users, Lovable can help a lot. You can build a functional first version of your product, something people can navigate, test, break, and give you real feedback. And since it connects with Supabase, you get a database, authentication, and some backend logic without having to build everything from scratch. But here's the thing, to really take advantage of this, you do need to learn the basics of Supabase. It's not complicated, but you cannot skip that part. Now, because the MVP will be used by real users, you need to be careful with a few technical details. First, security. Your authentication flow needs to be solid. Don't improvise this because it puts users' data at risk. Second, protect your secrets, like private API keys, internal URLs, or anything sensitive. A lot of first-time builders leave this exposed without realizing it, and that's a serious problem. Third, row-level security. This controls who can access which data. If you don't set this correctly, users could end up seeing information they shouldn't. So yeah, you need some basic backend understanding, but if you take care of these three things, you have everything you need to launch a controlled, functional MVP and validate your idea quickly without huge investment. So, those are the main ways we use Lovable in our processes. But I want to stop here and ask you if you're getting value from this content. Because if you are, we'd love to invite you to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and drop any questions you have in the comments. And if you want, you can also share this with a friend. That really helps us keep growing. Let's get back to the video. Now, I also want to talk about when not to use Lovable, because this part is just as important. Lovable has limitations that you need to be aware of, especially if your project starts to grow. For instance, I wouldn't use Lovable for large projects with complex logic. No way. It is just not built for that kind of product, where you need deep control of both the backend and the front end. Because eventually the project will break, and if you don't know how to debug, you won't be able to bring the project back to life. This happens because you are not really controlling the project, the AI is, and it's really important for you to understand this. I also wouldn't use it if you plan to work with a team. Every developer has their own structure, style, and conventions. Lovable doesn't follow any of that. It just generates whatever it wants. So if you care about clean architecture, maintainability, or team standards, Lovable isn't the right tool for you. Lovable is for one person building something fast, where how it's built doesn't matter, so keep that in mind. And finally, the cost. Lovable isn't expensive for small prototypes or simple projects. But if you try to build something big, again, not recommended, the cost goes up really fast. Tools like Cursor or Cloud Code will give you much more value for the same amount of money. But the difference is, to use those tools properly, you need to know the fundamentals of software development. So, my advice would be, if you are building for production and need control as you scale, you'd rather go with Cursor or Cloud Code. Don't use Lovable. So keep all of this in mind if you want to use Lovable in your development process. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like our videos, follow us, and leave us a comment with any question that you might have. And if you want, you can also share it with a friend who might find it useful. My name is Fernando Dedios, and I'll see you in the next video.